Finding home in Wildfield. Summary. After a chance encounter as young kids, Willow and Jamie form a lifelong friendship in the small town of Wildfield. Raised by their single mothers, who also quickly become best friends, Willow and Jamie grow up in a uniquely open and close-knit environment. Over the years, they come to understand love, self-acceptance, and identity in a way that grounds them. As they experience loss, growth, and change, they support each other through it all, finally finding true love and strength in each other. This is Willow's letter about Jamie, read aloud during a special ceremony. My mom, Emily, asked me to read this to all of you today. She told me it might be a little embarrassing, but it's from her heart, and it's filled with memories of a person we all loved deeply. Here's her letter. Running wild and free in the fields of Wildfield, I met Jamie when we were both just 6 years old. I'd taken off after my dog, Daisy, and when I turned a corner, I crashed into him. We both went sprawling, tangled in the grass, with our moms rushing over to check us for scrapes and bruises. That's how Jamie came into my life. One moment I was alone, and the next, I had a best friend. Are you hurt, Willow? Mom asked. A few scrapes, maybe, but I was too busy laughing with Jamie to care. Our moms quickly introduced themselves, making all those grown-up apologies, and it wasn't long before they were arranging playdates for us. Jamie and I didn't know it then, but we were at the beginning of a friendship that would define our lives. Every week, we had our little adventures, and our moms joined us every chance they got, hiking with us in the nearby forest, building forts, and spending time outdoors. They shared a quiet understanding and a bond that, even as kids, we felt deeply. When we were 7, Mom and I moved in with Jamie and his mom, Tara. It was like my world doubled overnight. Our moms were amazing. They created a home that was open and filled with laughter and honesty. They never shied away from answering our questions, even the awkward ones about bodies and changes as we grew up. They taught us to love who we were inside and out. When we hit our early teens, Jamie and I began noticing the changes in ourselves and each other. Small things at first, like voices and heights. I remember staring at Jamie one day, wondering when he'd grown taller than me. We'd laugh about it and move on to our next adventure, just grateful to have someone who understood without asking. At 16, we lost Jamie's mom, Tara, to cancer. It was the first real heartbreak I'd ever felt. But for Jamie, it was a loss beyond words. My mom and I held him close, sometimes literally. We spent months in the same bed, staying up to share stories, cry, and laugh as we remembered the best of Tara. We couldn't tell others much about our closeness, because no one would have understood just how deeply woven our lives were together. As time went on, I felt myself falling for Jamie. There was no big revelation or confession, just a quiet, growing awareness that he was my person. And when we turned 18, I told my mom how I felt. She wasn't surprised, though she made sure I understood that true love was about respecting and supporting each other, even in the tough times. She gave us her blessing, and our relationship shifted from friends to something deeper, built on years of shared memories and trust. We eventually married on a quiet afternoon, with only a few close friends and family. We wanted our wedding to be an intimate celebration of the life we were building, a life rooted in honesty and acceptance, the same values our moms had given us. My mom was by my side the whole time, her love and encouragement as steady as ever. She saw us as more than just partners. We were her legacy, a reflection of the life and love she and Tara had shared with us. As the years went on, Jamie and I were blessed with 3 wonderful children. We taught them the same openness our moms had taught us, about love, identity, and the importance of being true to themselves. And my mom, she was there for all of it, guiding us and teaching us how to create a life filled with joy and acceptance. When Jamie passed away, I thought I would never find joy again. But my children reminded me of him every day, and my mom was there, as always, to hold me up. Jamie and I lived a beautiful life, and his love will stay with me forever. This is the life he helped me build, the legacy he leaves behind, and the memories that will live on through all of us. Emily's daughter closed the letter, a tearful smile on her face, and took a deep breath. Mom asked that we honor Jamie's memory by celebrating the love he shared with all of us. Today we lay him to rest, surrounded by friends and family, carrying forward the love he so freely gave. As the years passed, Willow often returned to Wildfield, now with her children and grandchildren. They played in the same park where she and Jamie had first met, under those same trees, retelling the stories of how they grew up together and became each other's strength. The tradition of openness, acceptance, and love continued, each generation passing it along, a tribute to the lives Emily and Tara had built together for their children. Whenever life felt heavy, Willow would look up at the sky, thinking of Jamie, feeling his memory and their love like a warm presence around her. She'd whisper to herself, "Thank you for everything," knowing he'd left her with a gift she could carry forward, one that would never truly leave her. As Willow looked back on her years with Jamie, a flood of memories came rushing in. Life in Wildfield had been a journey through laughter and tears, goodbyes and new beginnings. Each chapter held its own beauty, but she'd often wondered if she and Jamie would be able to hold on to that sense of home they'd created for themselves and their children as life continued on. Now she knew the answer. Home was woven through every memory, every bond they'd built, and the legacy they'd left behind. After Jamie's passing, Willow leaned even more on her mother Emily, whose quiet wisdom and warmth had always been a source of strength. Willow's 3 children, River, Sawyer, and Lucy, each carried a part of Jamie in them, but they were so much their own people, with such curiosity and dreams that she knew they'd continue to shape Wildfield's future in their own way. Emily often came over to Willow's place, helping her with the kids, teaching them how to make the old family recipes, telling them stories from their childhood. The house was filled with laughter, and though they missed Jamie every day, his presence felt so close, like he was still sitting at the table with them, laughing at one of Sawyer's jokes, or joining in with Lucy as she danced around the kitchen. When River, her eldest, turned 18, Willow began sharing more of her life story. She talked about her friendship with Jamie, and how it had transformed into a love so deep that even now, it remained unbreakable. Emily helped fill in the details, reminding Willow of moments she'd almost forgotten. The way Jamie had once declared he'd marry her when they were only 11, or how he'd stayed up all night studying for a test with her, even though he knew he'd ace it without trying. One afternoon, Willow took her children to a hidden spot Jamie had shown her years ago, a small clearing near Wildfield's forest where wildflowers grew in abundance. They spread a blanket, bringing along a simple picnic, and spent the day there, sharing memories of Jamie. Each child shared their favorite story of their dad, and Emily added tales of Jamie's childhood, letting her grandchildren see him not just as a father, but as the boy she'd grown up with. River, who had a quiet wisdom that reminded Willow of Jamie, turned to her and asked, "Mom, do you think Dad's still watching over us?" Willow smiled, nodding gently. "I do, River. And I think he'd want us to live fully, to keep building the kind of life he'd dreamed of, just like he did. He'd want you to follow your heart, just like he did when he fell in love with this town, with this family." For the children, the stories brought Jamie alive again. They grew up cherishing his legacy, grounded in the love he'd poured into them. River went on to become a teacher in Wildfield, following in her mom's footsteps of passing on stories, traditions, and wisdom to the next generation. Sawyer, full of curiosity and humor, became an architect, choosing to help preserve Wildfield's history while also shaping its future. Lucy, the youngest and the most like her father in spirit, started a small cafe in town where everyone was welcome, a cozy place where memories and community intertwined. Emily grew older, her face lined with the years of love and laughter she'd shared with her family. She was proud of the life she'd created for Willow and Jamie, and the generations who now carried their story forward. In her later years, she shared even more of her memories, taking each grandchild aside, passing on her wisdom with a knowing smile. One autumn, when Emily's health began to fade, Willow gathered the family around. They spent her final days by her side, filling the room with love, with stories of Wildfield, of childhood friends and family, and of all they'd learned from her. When Emily finally passed, Willow felt a bittersweet ache, but knew she had been left with an immense gift. Her mother had given her the strength to carry on, just as she had taught her resilience and love, and to pass that same strength on to her own children. The following spring, River, Sawyer, and Lucy returned to the clearing where their mother had once taken them. Together, they planted a tree in Emily's honor, a young oak that would someday stand tall and strong, its branches reaching up to the sky, a living testament to the love and legacy of Emily, Tara, Jamie, and all who had come before them. Willow joined them in the quiet peace of that moment, and as they looked at the newly planted tree, she realized that the love she and Jamie had shared, the family they had created together, and the values they had passed down would continue to grow, branch out, and live on through their children, and through every person they touched. In the years that followed, Willow watched as her family grew, her children thriving and filling Wildfield with the love, laughter, and lessons she and Jamie had once dreamed of together. They visited that oak tree often, leaving small tokens of memories and dreams for the family members they'd loved, and for those who would come after. The little clearing became a gathering place for the family, a place to return to for comfort, and to share the endless stories that made them who they were. In this way, Willow and Jamie's love, along with Emily's wisdom, remained etched into Wildfield's soil, a legacy not just of family, but of a love that knew no bounds. And as the years went by, that legacy only grew stronger, standing tall like the oak tree, a living symbol of Wildfield's heart, woven through the lives of everyone who called it home.